Welcome to a new fragrance review. Today I'm going to tell you what I think about Davidoff. So, Davidoff, I think this brand is getting weird reputation these days. Everyone see it as a cheap brand with some cheapy, but a lot of people say that they have great cheapy. I would agree that a lot of their fragrances are now cheap and are good. I don't think they have a lot of originality these days. And it's crazy because I think the brand itself was a really great brand and they would deserve a better place in the fragrance market. And it's just that I don't know what I think their fragrance creative director is doing a really horrible job, and this is what's going on. And that's the only reason I'm having that it's like some cheap brand. What they do, I would say Davidoff by itself, if you would take it as 30 years ago and with the rate it was going, I think it could be seen as stuff like Ralph Lauren, for example, had been seen at the same level, having the same price point. Seems to be a fragrance house that was doing things that are as influential as this brand as like Ralph Lauren, for example, or other high but not so high tier designer fragrance. And it's just that they kind of screwed up. Now when you think about them, what you're thinking about is like Cool Water, the whole line, and people talk about the Intense, which is good, and a lot of people talk about the, I don't know if it's the Parfum or Haute Parfum, which is the Sauvage clone, which is kind of bad for a fragrance house to be seen as now a clone company. There's also Cool Water Wave that's a clone, but it was not always like that. If you look at older fragrance, there's Zino, that was an amazing fragrance with rose, sandalwood, patchouli, really bold, really great fragrance, and that was their good time. Also, Cool Water, the original, it's actually a masterpiece. A lot of people see it as some cheap fragrance that is not good and that is worthless, but that's actually the most influential fragrance for the last 50 years. If you think about every single aquatic fragrance in the last 20 years wouldn't exist if it was for Cool Water. And especially if you think of stuff like Dylan Blue. Dylan Blue, that's super popular. Well, Dylan Blue would not exist if it wouldn't be for Cool Water. Same thing with Acqua di Gio, the whole line. Acqua di Gio, I mean, Light Blue by Dolce & Gabbana wouldn't exist if it wasn't be for Acqua di Gio. So again, the whole aquatic type of scent was really different. You can look at really easily. You go to any fragrance store and you ask to smell Dylan Blue and you ask to smell Polo Blue, but the original. Those two fragrances will really show you what aquatic fragrance was before, and Polo Blue actually used the old way of doing aquatic fragrance, like the before Cool Water. Even though it was made after, it still used that type of way of making the fragrance. And if you look at Dylan Blue, it used a new way to do it, and it's an evolution from Cool Water. And just this, you will see the difference of those two way of making fragrance. It smells different. Polo Blue is aquatic, but it's not like what you imagine nowadays when an aquatic feels more old school and less aquatic. I can say it like that, versus Dylan Blue or other aquatic fragrance. It's really different. It's really what they did. Cool Water transformed the whole world of perfumery. If you really want to go with something more evident, I would say probably trying to smell stuff like Aqua Atlantic by Bulgari and Aqua Corum by Puig, but those two fragrances are a bit harder to find, so that's why I'm going with Dylan Blue and Polo Blue. But it really shows how much it changed the world of perfumery. And I don't know what happened. They were doing masterpiece, bold fragrance. They were daring and trying to change the world of perfumery and really making something special. And all of a sudden, they started to make cheap fragrance, cheap stuff, trying to rip off other brand in a way to sell stuff that everyone was selling, and I don't know what happened to them. It's like if Yves Saint Laurent decided that they were gonna make Kouros Le Parfum that is smelling like Aventus. People will be disappointed by Yves Saint Laurent. But it's really weird with Davidoff. People seems to don't have any high expectation anymore, which is sad because they were having something great and it just somehow ruined it. I'm saying that it's the like creative director or something like that that's doing a bad job. I don't know if that's actually the case. I don't know really what's going on. I'm not like in their business to say it, but definitely the fragrance house was going really in a great direction, and somehow they just took a wrong turn and just screwed himself up. And it's sad because now it could and easily be like in everyone's top 5 of the best fragrance house, like constantly. It's just that that's not the direction that they took. Somehow I think maybe also the company, I think, was purchased by another company. Maybe that other company wanted to push other fragrance house and have it as some baseline, something less fancy. It's Coty that owns it now, and it's kind of a fancy Coty fragrance. Like it's still a cheapie, but it's now like a fancy cheapie house. Yeah, I wish they would do something better, something to bring their image up, but right now I think they will just make some cheap stuff that smell like everything else and not do anything amazing anymore, which is sad, but that's how it is. So now I think it's really a forgettable brand, and their old school fragrance are worth trying, and I would say Cool Water, if you're collecting fragrance for the history of fragrance, is a must. Something you need to have. Also, if you're a big fan of aquatic, it's a fragrance you should have in your collection. It's not maybe something you'll wear all the time because it's really different, and I could say dated as a fragrance. I wouldn't like, I'm a big advocate for old school fragrance, so I would not say that it's bad fragrance or anything, but it's definitely something from another era. It might not be something you would wear, but definitely it's interesting to see the evolution of the fragrance world with it. But apart from that, everything else is forgettable, and their good stuff are good because it smells the same as other good fragrance. And that's about it. So hope you enjoyed the video. If it's the case, we'll like and share. If you have a different opinion on Davidoff, tell me what you think about that brand. So thanks for watching and see you soon.